Can you kindly confirm to us the results or the situation with you in the Asante Akyem North constituency, sir?
In Asante Akyem North, I lost the election, and that's the good summary of what has happened. So let's proceed from there.
What led to this outcome, sir?
What? Please come again.
What led to this outcome, sir?
The people voted, and they voted against my candidature, and they had a preference, and they voted for somebody else. So I have no qualms. I mean, that's as far as I know. And I'm not pointing any accusing fingers. It was an event. It was a process. The process ended yesterday, and the results of the process we all have to accept. And I totally accept the results of the process.
As a member of parliament not returning to the next parliament, what must be going through your mind presently, reflecting over your colleagues around the country who equally have lost their seats as a result of yesterday's elections and the unfolding events across the country?
I have always personally advised colleagues and people who intend to enter politics to build a returning platform, or a platform that you have to revert to. And for me, I came into parliament or came into politics as a lawyer. So I will just retire into my professional legal practice. And that's what I'm going to do. I took a decision yesterday to retire entirely from politics and retire into legal practice. So that is what I intend doing. So I have disengaged from politics totally, and I'm going back into practice.
Is that to mean that you are not returning to politics going forward, or this is just to take a detour back into legal practice and perhaps at the appropriate time you return to politics?
I will not return to politics. I have made my political decision, and I'm very clear in my mind that this is the end of my political career, and therefore a return rather to a practice in law. So I'm done with politics. I'm now a practicing lawyer. Simple.
What, in your view, is your legacy in Parliament and to the service of the people of the constituency you so ably served as their Member of Parliament?
Well, at the point where there's a need for change, we hand the baton of office to the one who is coming. And I don't want to interfere in any way and during his time or within the period that he will represent the good people of Asante Akyem. So as far as I am concerned, my time is over, and he takes over from me. And he takes over from now till the end of his term. But what I can promise you is that I will not seek a return to politics.
But we would want to hear from your own mouth what you believe is your legacy for the people of the Asante Akyem North constituency you so ably represent in Parliament currently.
Yes, in terms of infrastructure, they know what we have been able to do for the people. So I'm sure that it all forms part of their decision. In terms of social relationships, also they know what we have done by way of associating with a lot of people. And even today, I have received not less than 1,000 citizens of the constituency come to greet me and, console me of a kind and solidarize with me. So I appreciate all that. And if I didn't do well for them, probably I wouldn't receive such august people coming to, solidarize with me. So I think that the legacy will live on, and I will also proceed into the next phase of my life.
Now, beyond your fine works in Parliament representing your constituency, one of the things that people remember of you has to do with the high-profile role you played in holding your own executive government accountable when it came to matters having to do with the state of the economy. As we are talking about your legacy, there are those who would want to assign responsibility and say perhaps if the government had listened to some of the demands you were making as of the time that the demands were hot, maybe, just maybe, the NPP will not be where it is today when you reflect over the results coming in from from across the country. What is your own assessment of this particular situation, and what can you tell us in that regard?
Well, thank you very much. But as I have always been saying, if we had been listened to earlier, probably that may have changed the fortunes of my party and government. Unfortunately, there was so much delay in adhering to the request. I didn't have any power to do anything more than we did. So we are satisfied that at a point in time, we had to, speak about what was happening at the time. And rightly so we did. Of course, albeit that we were not responded to appropriately and timeously. But we stand to be corrected though. But at the time that we made that intervention, we thought that government ought to have listened to us. And as you're saying, looking at the results across the country, probably people voted because of the situation of the economy. And we played our role by advocating for changes, and we didn't go beyond that because we didn't have power to so do constitutionally. So it becomes a lesson to us going into the future. And a next NPP government, I'm sure, will be more accommodating and also responding to calls by members of government, members of parliament, and even civil society organizations. Recalcitrancy is not key in managing people and managing political fortunes. So it becomes a lesson for all of us. But you don't have to cry over spilled milk. The harm is done already. It is only for the lessons for us to learn. And I want to appreciate your contribution also as members of the press in carrying the message across to our government, albeit that they were not responded to appropriately and obviously.
Yeah, there are those who would say that you did your part, but you could have done more. So that, for instance, when you pushed for the finance minister to be removed from office and the president sought for more time, the opposition then filed a motion in parliament seeking to remove the minister from office. Of course, it would still have been left to the president to determine whether or not the minister remains in office if the vote went through. But for some reason, many people found to their amazement that even the group of MPs from your side who were interested in having the minister removed did not even follow through with your threat to press for the removal of the minister. At some point, you abandoned ship, and perhaps if you had continued your crusade, maybe, just maybe, the NPP would not be witnessing the embarrassing results you're seeing across the country. What's your comment on that, sir?
Well, the embarrassing results is part of the learning, and it is part of our history. It's going to be. Nevertheless, when we finish with our advocacy, our expectation was that the government was going to listen to us. And indeed, we acted within the Constitution. So if you like, it was a kind of a constitutional awareness that we're creating, that it is important for the government to change personnel in certain positions. Having said that, we also knew that within the Constitution,
hello, how are
we couldn't have done, yes. Hello?
Yeah, please go on, sir. Please go on, sir. Please go on,
we
sir.
also knew that beyond filing our petition to the president, there was nothing more we could have done constitutionally to press home our request. So we also made contact with a lot of the constitutional bodies. We met with the Council of State, we met with the Peace Council, we met with the Christian Council, we met the traditional authorities, all that, trying to mobilize effort in trying to convince our president that at the time there was a need to change the finance minister. Let me address the census motion. The census motion filed by the minority. The census motion was to bring to the attention of the president the request of members of parliament for a change in that position. And it was the same thing that we had done, and we had reached the president by our advocacy. So joining essential motion was going to start that which we had finished and done and reached destination. So there was no addition to what we had done already. That is why we thought that it was irrelevant and out of time for us to join the essential motion. So we were already there. And I give this analogy that if you are traveling to Kumasi from Accra, you are already at University of Science and Technology junction, and somebody is starting the journey from Accra, from Circle, and that person is inviting you to come and join him at Circle in our effort to reach Kumasi. I thought that was a belated call, and therefore was unnecessary, and we were not going to join to start a process that we have already gone far into and already getting to the end of the process. That is the more reason why we didn't join the essential motion and rather decided that. And indeed, if you say we abandoned ship, I disagree with you, because we did not abandon ship. We continued to press through various means. Indeed, even engaging our party leadership, engaging Council of State, Christian Council, and the like, doesn't speak to abandoning ship. We did a lot of advocacy in private media. So if you say that we abandoned ship, I'm not sure that you are very correct. That statement is incorrect.
That's very much taken. And moving on, sir, in terms of what ultimately happened in your constituency, there are those who would say that because of your advocacy and your insistence that certain things be done in a certain way as to improve the lot of the MPP at the elections, you may easily have become a target of the system, as in the establishment as currently constituted. Do you believe that these views are founded? If they are, what can you say in support of the same?
Yeah, but if assuming, without admitting that that was the view of the establishment, that I fell as a target of the establishment, have the establishment also not fallen the target of the generality of Ghanaians? So we are all vulnerable. So if I was vulnerable at the time and I was targeted and certain things were planned against me or done against me, has the public also not demonstrated the same commitment to the pursuit of a change, and by way of showing us where we are in the voting system? So I was a target through my advocacy. I don't regret doing that, and I'm very happy that I had the audience of the public listening to our request then, and I'm very happy that we did that in association with other members of parliament, and I'm very also happy that we never reneged on our plea for response from the government, and I'm also very happy that at the end of the day, if ever I fell victim of my advocacy, at least I'm still alive and I have a fallback position in life, and I have taken a strong decision to fall back to the position in life that I started from, and I have no regrets whatsoever.
Now, the party you are leaving behind as you're moving to private advocacy full-time as a lawyer is in tatters, given the results we've seen from across the country. There are those who are calling for some kind of audit as to help determine exactly what went wrong beyond some of the things you are telling us now. Even as you try to depart the field entirely, what will be your message in terms of what kind of post-mortem needs to be done in order to reposition the party, make it attractive to Ghanaians going forward? Hello, sir. Well, it would seem we've lost the Honorable Andy Appiah-Kubi, the Member of Parliament for the Asante Akyem North constituency. Well, he's back on the line, sir. Yes, I was asking a question regarding what kind of audit you believe a man departing your party to concentrate on your legal career. What kind of audit should be done by the party going forward in order to make it attractive for Ghanaians and for future elections?
Well, project management at the end of the project, you need to do evaluation. You need to take stock of what has happened, look at systems and systems applications, and see whether there is a need for change or in the process or in the equipment. So we have come to the end of one process. As a party, just like any other institution, we need to do a post-mortem of the process and see where we need to do a retrofit of our strategy or policy or activity. So I expect the party to look back and see how we do an audit of all the things that we have done and identify failure points and correct them. It will take a bold party to admit that we didn't do things right. And that's the beginning of the solution. So once we admit our faults, then we'll begin to investigate at what point we made those mistakes and what solution mechanisms we need to adopt to get us into the right lane in our pursuit for the diadem going forward. So I expect the party to do a post-mortem. I did not say that I am resigning from the party. I'm retiring from active politics, which means planning for nominations into various political positions. But I will still support the party as a member of the party. And therefore, if my services are required, if anybody calls on me to help fine-tune any process, I'm sure I will avail myself to the party at all times. So I'm hoping that the party will sit back and take due decisions.
Before I move on to my very last question for you, if I may, Dr. Bawumia, who led your campaign efforts and then also your party into the presidential elections, called John Dramani Mahama this morning to wish him well and then also to concede to the elections to him. He said a few words before eventually leaving journalists to actually chew over his words for the nation and then also the international community. First of all, did you listen to that speech? And if you did listen, what are your comments about what Dr. Bawumia said? And then also, what is your view on what should happen to the future of Dr. Bawumia going forward?
Well, it is graceful for him to concede defeat when the obvious figures were telling him that he had lost. So I commend him for being forthright in accepting his failure and, of course, commending his competitor, congratulating him. This is the right thing to do. And I'm sure that he has done that perfectly well. On his future, he is still a very young man. So, and if he's still interested in politics, he has time to go back to the drawing board with the party and plan again and come back in 2028. Or if he wants to pursue a career outside politics, he's still a young man. I wish him well. He has done his due. He tried his best. Indeed, he was very resourceful in the campaign. And, the strategy was very much of a high-tech, campaign. And I commend him so much for that. He introduced a lot of IT concepts into the campaign. So that is also commendable. Again, he toured the whole of the country. And I admire his confidence, his energy, and his resolve to win power. It's just that it is unfortunate that he couldn't get the power, but he's done very well, and I commend him for that. I wish him well in his future endeavor, either in politics or outside politics. His advocacy to all of us as citizens of Ghana was to hold Ghana well, look at Ghana as the enterprise that we all belong to, and work to achieve success for the country, Ghana. And I have always seen him as a nationalistic person, and therefore I commend him on that one too. I think we have to grow a class of statesmen more than a class of partisan politicians. We have one commodity that binds all of us together, and that is the country Ghana. So even in our loss, we need to also pray for the winners to be able to take Ghana to the right places. And indeed, if any of us are called upon to offer any support to such an initiative, let us be ready to offer the support. Indeed, they are going to be managers of the country for all of us, and therefore we should eschew apathy and jealousness and all that. Let us be ready to support what is good for Ghana, and let us do all the things that we need to do as Ghanaians looking for prosperity for our country, Ghana. And I commend him for taking that initiative first. All of us will be behind him in support of supporting Ghana as a project.
Before you depart from us, what will be your words to John Dramani Mahama as he takes office on the 7th of January 2025? What should be his immediate agenda? So many things you complained about. How should he fix it?
Well, immediately before even we get to 7th January, he should make sure that there is discipline in the country. Immediately the results were announced, I've heard and seen people try and take offices where they have not even been nominated or elected into, and that is wrong. Governance is a continuum, and therefore one group of or set of people have to take over from another set of people, and we need to manage the transition very carefully, and so that we don't create traps along the way for the incoming government. So I encourage His Excellency Mr. Mahama to ensure that all of us remain disciplined, and let's follow the due process, and let us also wait for our turn and time, so that people coming to take over from serving public officers will go through a process of taking notes from them and knowing what to do going forward. We don't want to create a vacuum between the old administration and new administration. It's important that we manage the transition very carefully, and let us resort to the Presidential Transition Act to guide us into metamorphosing from one administration to the other, so that we can have a smooth ride into the next 4 years, and let the people have the capacity to wait for the process to roll out.
Okay, thank you so much. The Honorable Andy Appiah-Kubi, the Member of Parliament for the Asante Akyem North constituency in the Ashanti region, lost his seat to an independent candidate in that particular constituency, speaking to us via Zoom. We check